Hi, I'm Anita Murray. I'm a journalist and co-founder of the housing information website All Things Home. I've covered Ottawa homes and housing for more than 15 years, and 3 recent events prompted this project. In short succession, 3 respected industry professionals, who are all women, were appointed to strong leadership positions. They certainly aren't the first, but having 3 such examples all at once was an intriguing prospect. That got me wondering about the evolution of and journey for women in the housing sector. So at the beginning of June, 9 of those industry professionals joined me around a conference table to examine the challenges and opportunities facing women in the housing sector. This video is a condensed version of their insights. All right, so kicking things off, what does it mean to you to be a woman in this industry? Who wants to start and break the ice?
I've never felt more included, and to start in a room full where you feel lesser than. You walk into a room of amazing women like this, and you feel that instant connection. Sometimes it's missing when you do feel like a minority, but look around you and yeah.
It was nice. Yesterday I was at a large project in Canada, and it was nice to see that I probably saw 5 women on a commercial, high-rise project.
With tools on?
Yeah, with boots on. They were schlepping stuff and painting and doing stuff, and it was nice to see. And I don't remember the last time that I actually saw 5 women working in residential, yes, when it's a single-family home, but not in the commercial high-rise. So it was nice to see that yesterday.
I think for me the word is hopeful.
Hopeful?
Yeah, hopeful. I think everyone here has seen change and some evolution in the industry because we've been around it long enough. But I also think we see the potential. And where women have been in this industry for a long time, but I'll call it a bit of a middle layer. And I think the hopeful piece is, it's initiatives like this that make us realize that women are now in a leadership role. And I think we want to see more in the field, despite, Carlene's comment. I think we all see a potential for more women in the field and more women in leadership, but hopeful for me is kind of what resonates. Yeah.
When I first started, I would often be the only woman at a table.
Yes.
And now it happens regularly where it's all women. And we have engineers, architects, designers, all in leadership roles. And you said hopeful, and my word would be strong. I love attending a meeting and there's a bunch of strong women around the table.
Being the only woman at the table, this exact table right here.
Yes.
I would come into
Yes.
this room. I've been on the Urban Infill Council since it first started in GOVA. Before it was at GOVA, and it was all men and me. And I found it intensely intimidating, this room and this table, when I first started. But they were all of them, very respectful and welcoming of me. I think it is really important for us to be sharing our stories and inviting young women to see what we're doing. My daughters found my construction boots in the cupboard about 6 or 7 years ago, and my little girl said, "Ew, whose are these? Are these yours?" And last year, one of my daughters started in architecture at TMU, and awesome. I got her first pair of construction boots. And I felt so good.
That's karma. Yeah.
Amazing.
I think you can look around this table.
Yeah.
I think this is the change, truly. Men creating the opportunity for the women, creating the seats at the table for women. I see some family businesses. You're also creating opportunities for the next generation. A lot of representation for our kids to see that it's a possibility too.
These women can play at the big table. They have great ideas, they have instincts, initiatives, and they have a way, I find sometimes, of dealing with some of the industry conflicts that perhaps men have had challenge navigating before. So I think the opportunity for collaboration, I think more of the old boys club, they're starting to see that opportunity. They're starting to see the benefits, not only for the team, but for themselves as well. And that's what's given us that space to kind of step in there and rise up.
I agree. I think it's the overall value to the business that diversity brings. It's not about women being better than men or men being better than women. It's that different perspective and different way of working too. I think we have a different approach to the way we work with people. I was reflecting on the question this morning, and I don't even know if it's this question, but the idea that I think we, in this industry, we can kind of empathize with our buyer in a way that men typically couldn't in the past. And maybe I'm wrong there, but I do think that we bring a different relationship to our buyers than men do. And it's not a better or worse, it's that it's a different perspective, and it kind of rounds out the value of that diversity, the value of the business.
Adding that diversity to our staffing and our senior staffing improves business understanding, because we're better able to understand the diverse demographics that we're serving. We don't kind of default to traditional norms. We kind of see the demographics that are being missed, and we can fine-tune our business models to be more appropriate and more successful.
Back in the day, there was more of an old boys club mentality in the industry, and there would be fishing trips and there would be golf trips, and sometimes like decisions were being made, they would come back and decisions had been made. And I think having women at the table actually brings more, I don't want to say professionalism, but just that layer of like transparency maybe, where the decisions are now being made at the table and they're being made in a bit more of a transparent way.
Inclusive. Yeah, exactly. Inclusive.
I think over time, like with being around in the 80s and stuff, and seeing the evolution of women, any business or any occupation, more of us are getting into the workforce, and more of us are mothers or other mentors are within the family are encouraging us, why don't you try this career, try that career. And I think it's grown and it's evolved, and I would say the last 40 years, where you're now seen as a peer, not just a woman at the table, but you're as a peer and you've got something to say and women are being heard now.
It actually feels like it hasn't been all that long that this has taken shape. I mean, I've been in the industry initially in the mechanical side of things, now on the design build side of things, and I can remember my very first position at a mechanical contracting company. One of the individuals on my team who was a man saying, well, there's the group chat that you're in, and then there's the group chat that's the guys, right? And the guys are doing the golf and the old boys club, and that was exactly, and that was not that many years ago, truly. So I feel like we've seen a huge evolution, even in the last 5, from where things started. And there's maybe still, independent group chats that we don't know about, but it's not like this has been. I mean, I suppose it's been years in the making, but it really feels like it's being accelerated now for women. As I said, or as somebody else said, like around this table, this didn't exist maybe even 5 or 10 years ago.
Change can always go faster, but it has to be more organic, and it has to develop. Like, you can't just change for the sake of change. It has to be change for the good. And I think it has to, for it to be decimated or disseminated into all the things, it has to go slowly. Maybe it could go a little faster, but you're not going to flip a switch and it's going to be changed overnight.
I think the door's open now, and the door's open to women, and we just need to step up and step in and take on those leadership roles and just excel. We might have to work a little bit harder to get to the very top positions, but they are open to us if we want them. And so really just want to encourage young women to go for it.
Through my career working like for people or with people, it's the people you associate with has a real impact on your career. It's working around the people that will also support you, whether it's male or female, that will make your career or project your career further?
I think it's time to be more, take a leadership role. I think we've worked really hard to get here, and I wish I had someone in this room to work with and learn from. I was fortunate to have men recognize my potential and give me opportunity and teach me and all of that. But in hindsight, I wish I had had a woman, an example or a coach or a mentor. And I think that's where we can maybe step up a little more.
I think we have to remember as well that although the leadership opportunities are now open to us, and in mentoring younger women coming in, there still is a lot of work to do for those younger women coming into construction sites. You know, so to normalize having a woman at that level
In the field,
in the trades, in the field, and as women leaders, not only can we help and mentor those young women, we can also mentor our men to, like, on our teams in the field.
I think this goes to a bigger topic. So it's not just about us following in the footsteps of the men who came before us and repeating what they have done. Instead, it's us envisioning a different way, a new way of doing things that is better because it is more inclusive or more thoughtful. And my standard of better also includes work-life balance. And many women, not just in our industry, but in all sorts of industries, assume that if they want to succeed, they have to sacrifice their work-life balance or time with their kids. And I think it's important for us to prove them wrong. And one of the reasons I started my business, I was unable to go back to my previous work because I was the sole breadwinner and caregiver in my household, and I was worried I couldn't find the balance that I needed in a workplace established by men. And so I just carved out my own little life on my own and built my business that way. And those examples, I think, are really important for people to know what the options are for themselves.
I have a woman on my team who's sick. She's very sick, and she's apologizing that she can't come to the office, and she's going to get her work done at home instead of actually resting and getting better. Where when I look at men taking time off, they don't apologize. They want to book off early for golf. They don't apologize. They
It's
just
funny
go.
how they're always off on this.
Right?
Oh my God, yeah.
I think everybody's saying yes.
Yes.
Now they're all
Yes.
thinking about reaching
Oh
to
my
exam.
gosh. Well, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I remember in the beginning, I was also very young, you know, in a room full of men as the one token female, and, you know, I had almost like a fear of speaking up, because, you know, I didn't want to be seen as a nuisance, or, oh, an emotional female, or whatever, you know, stigma was around, you know, women in the industry back then. And honestly, I regret not speaking up, and I think I'm getting better at that now, and, you know, demanding the respect I deserve after doing this for so long. I feel like I've earned it, but absolutely, there's been so many instances where it's just, like you said, the golf trips, the fishing trips, contracts are signed on the spot, where it, like, wait a minute, hold on, I didn't even get a chance to put in a bid. I'm speaking as a trade supplier. So, you know, it's very much been, you know, the old boys club. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
My biggest, the thing that I held on was, what answer do they want to hear?
Yes.
And I so wish I hadn't thought that way. I wish I had spent the time to think about what do I think, and have the courage and the confidence to voice it. And it's taken years to get there. And what's interesting to me is once you get there, you realize you have your own thoughts and you have your own voice.
They're valid.
And they're valid, yeah.
I remember many years sitting around, and it takes a long time to learn land development, and sitting around the table and having ideas, but being like, I think that might be, I don't know if that's a dumb idea, so I'm not gonna say it. Eventually I'm like, well, what if we do this? And I kind of pointed on my finger, and everyone pauses, and they're like, yeah. That's what we should do. And I was like, okay. It gave me that like boost of confidence in the early days to be like, you have to trust yourself, and even if you are wrong, that's okay too. But if you have to trust that you have to trust your instincts. And how many times have you held back only for someone else to say that?
It truly takes a couple of those experiences where you go, okay, I'm just gonna start speaking up. So it's those experiences you hold back, somebody else says it, and you think, oh, that was, I thought that. And it's like, okay, valid. And then you throw them out there and they're valid. It's like, okay, so it takes time. Yeah, it takes time.
But even if the idea is not the one that they go with, but it contributes to the conversation, and it's then gives them gives everybody an opportunity to kind of look at, okay, well, maybe we can kind of parse a little bit from this idea and a little bit from that idea and come together. And I think we can contribute something, and even if it doesn't work, it brought the conversation to the table.
It's just challenging. I think there's some gender assumptions though that compound it. So the construction site assumptions, right, that we don't know how to build things or don't know how things are built or that kind of thing, or can't even walk safely across the construction site. That would be a common assumption about women. That's quite out of left field. But there's also boardroom assumptions. So I regularly have to demonstrate that I can understand a business model, that I can understand a business pro forma, that I know how my clients are going to be getting their financing and the conditions that they will face when they need to reach their financing. And that's not something that people would assume about me, whereas if I was a man, they would be more likely to assume that I had that skill set. And so in instances like that, we just have to just sort of calmly keep proving ourselves in spite of the assumptions.
My experience was being held back, and I think I still to this day hold resentment toward that, because I think, shit, where would I be? I'm quite proud, and I think have made great headway in my career. But I think I didn't fight enough for the value I thought I brought. Because I thought I would be perceived as complaining and bitchy and and annoying, and God forbid you did, then you were annoying. Then what? Then what? What do you do with that?
Just polite reminder. I mean, you're on the job site, you're a realtor, you are a salesperson. They're like the assumptions. At the minute you walk in the room, there are natural assumptions. But it's a polite reminder, but sometimes, and we've talked about it too, sometimes is it worth it, Linda? Like we've talked about it. Do we correct every single time?
No.
You just prove it.
I actually
prove it by your work.
I like not correcting it.
Exactly.
Noted.
Yeah.
That's your issue, not mine.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna come and do what I do, and you'll either shift or you won't, but you're not gonna affect me that way.
Correct.
Well, I think we've got armor on now.
Yeah.
We've after 25 plus years in the industry, it's very hard to upset or offend us. We've seen it all, we've heard it all. We can deal with it, but exactly what Tanya was saying, it's those mental notes that you're like, okay, that's the type of trade partner you are, that's the type of site super you are, inspector, building inspector, whatever. It's those mental notes, and then as the women do rise up through, they're the decision makers on who we then work with.
I have a little trick I use, which is I'll say, it's 2026, we don't talk like that anymore.
We now have an advantage that we didn't have before.
I genuinely believe we do, and I'm feeling it in real time right now.
Which I think is a nice tipping point to be at and to be witness to and to be part of.
Matured, getting over the initial fear of being a nuisance or speaking up too much, and again learning to demand the respect that you've earned. I always go back to, I'm a trade supplier, I'm not a builder like the majority of this room, but I always used to say I go to visit builders like yourselves, and it was me and there was 2 other guys that did the same job as me for the other guys, and they were men. And I'd walk into a room, and just to be perceived at the same level as them, I had to earn my way up, and I had to fight for it, just to be on the same level playing field. And meanwhile, at the same time, I'm a gas fitter and they're not. I'm actually qualified and they're not, but I had to earn it. Because again, the assumptions, like you said, the assumptions are that just we're not there. So it's like, I think it's matured in the sense that, you know, okay, we've gone through this, we've paved the way. It's time to actually now just get to work and do the right thing, you know, and speak up and take care of yourself and take care of your clients, right?
I think my leadership has matured over the last couple of years, and even significantly in the last year, I would say, with one realization, and that is that not everybody has to like me. There you go. You know, and I think as women, a lot of times we think that we have to be the boss, but we have to be a team player. We have to make everybody happy, and it's like when you get to that level of deciding that I don't have to be your best friend, that changes your leadership style, and I think it makes you better. It makes you sharper. It makes you realize where the priorities lie, which in then helps your entire team.
An additional layer that's presented itself over the last 4 or 5 years, and that's the desire to be a leader that helps others grow, succeed, develop. My win is not only in running the business and the business being successful, it's in my team and my people becoming better at what they do, enjoying what they do, contributing, just growing your team is, for me, that's now, at this point in my career, that's what I take great pride in from a leadership standpoint. But it has to go hand in hand with running the business. One can't come at the expense of the other.
For me, my most valuable asset is my time. And so now that I'm in a leadership position, there's a couple of things. One is that I'm very thoughtful about what I do with my time, what I say yes to, what I say no to, and also I outsource what I can. So I have to be really intentional about and I ask myself, I have 3 questions I ask myself. Is it good for my family? Is it good for my health, emotional, physical health? Is it good for my business? And I use those lenses to frame how I decide what I'm going to do with my time, what I say yes to, what I invest my time and energy into. It needs to be at least good for one of those 3 things.
Yeah. But it's also not feeling, you have to stop feeling guilty saying no.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I find that is like, oh, well, you can't come? No, I can't. And then having to explain why you can't. No, you know what, I'm sorry, no, I'm not coming. And that's been a really hard lesson.
Yeah, I don't owe you an explanation.
Exactly. But thinking that we do, and it's hard.
Do not rely on your youth or your appearance, because those will fade. The only thing that will remain and continue to grow is your intellect, your knowledge. Those are the things to focus on. And honestly, not playing into that whole girl trade role, you know, just don't rely on that, rely on your brains.
Find a woman who you can turn to, who will coach you, be a sounding board, help nurture your confidences, someone you can sort of confide in terms of what you're experiencing. The one is the confidence piece, for sure. Trust yourself and develop your own voice. The other is, I think part of doing that is to find a woman, and it can be a personal friend, it can ideally in a career setting. But I wish I had that. I had male role models, but they were male role models. I think that would be a game changer. I think
it's a good one today. I would say trust yourself.
Yes.
And listen to your own inner voice and showing up on time, being prepared, looking for those leadership opportunities, looking for opportunities to say to your boss, I got this. And then you take care of it, and when you give it back to your boss, it's done and it's done well. Like if you're aspiring to leadership, those basic, it's that discipline and to keep on doing that day after day, and the opportunities will come.
Make whatever you're saying, make it okay, and you need that someone to tell you it's okay.
Well, I don't think I could ever use my male counterpart or my male mentors as sounding boards.
No.
It was more, what do you need from me? What do you think I need to do? I was taking instruction. I was, absorbing knowledge. Don't get me wrong. Right. There was value there. Just it was limited.
My advice to anyone, women and men in any industry, is to know your value, know your worth, and don't be so eager to compromise just to fit in or to be given the right answer of what people want to think, but to be able to have that confidence to just speak your mind. Take the chance. The ability to say no.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like Alyssa's answer. I'm sorry. I was like, kudos to that, because saying no in a room full of, key players, whether it be men, whether it be women, if you are young in your career, saying no. There's, we want them to, be yes, I'll do this. But by saying yes to all of that, you actually need to find where to say no, and it's strategic. So that's a very powerful.
Yeah, my answer would be just that young women know that they have the ability to succeed. Because I wasted an enormous amount of energy in self-talk. Rosalind, you can do this. Your competitors are doing this. They're not as worried about this as you are. You're going to be fine. You can succeed. And what a waste of time and energy. So if we could save other people all of that,
Do you think women need to go through a little bit of that though? Like, I would love to teach my daughter to save her time and energy going through that, but it just feels like a rite of passage almost.
Surely to some degree any human being has to do that.
Yeah.
But I overdid it.
Yeah.
Our industry is so stalled, so gummed up.
So agree.
We're following these rules that are just a tangled mess. And it's nobody's fault in particular, right? It's so slowly these problems have compounded and we find ourselves in an untenable situation. And we're gonna need some out-of-the-box thinking and some different approaches to problem solving. And so we now have different minds at the table and different ways of thinking at the table than were at the table when many of those problems compounded themselves. So I think it's a huge advantage.
I always liken our industry to turning the Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see the iceberg. You know what's coming. You're not sure if you're going to be able to do anything about it. Like, no, we have to. The outside the box thinking it's just so slow to move.
Keep learning.
Yeah.
There's always new stuff coming. Like, don't, just because you've graduated school and you're onto your career, you have to keep learning. There's always something new coming. Go to shows,
My too is like ask stupid questions. Ask lots.
There's never the only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
It's actually where I'm going with it. It's okay. It makes it permissible to ask questions. Ask whatever questions.
And especially in a leadership role.
Yeah.
Asking those questions in front of your team.
Yes, it's actually a strength.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
You're setting the example.
Yeah, and it's okay to be wrong in front of your team.
Yeah.
I think it's
It
better that
humanizes
they
you
see you
and-
be wrong and they can see how you handle that to teach them that it's safe and it's okay.
Yeah. Asking questions.
You have to be prepared.
Yeah.
And we've all done it, or I don't know, I certainly have many times where you show up, you have to make a presentation, you're not prepared, and it's obvious.
Yeah.
And
You still have to be good at flying it by the seat of your pants.
well, once you get
But yes.
once you get to a certain level and you know your stuff really well, you can do a little more winging, but I like to, if I ever have to make a presentation, like at least read through the slides.
You need to know your stuff.
But you also need to be prepared based on your audience.
Yeah.
Because that same presentation you could give in 5 different ways depending who it is that's receiving that information. So I think it's not only the topic, but who's going to be in the room, what are they going to be looking for, and how do I hit on those points to show that you are prepared, you're intelligent, you're competent in your role.
Yeah.
Being able to see work and then do the work as opposed to waiting for someone to tell you to do something. Being proactive and actually like, oh, hey, I see that needs to be done. Let me do that. And just because, hey, I gotta go clean the toilet because someone didn't clean the toilet, I'll go do that. It shows initiative. And I think that's what some of the young kids need today to have, is that initiative to go and do something, as opposed to always waiting for someone to spoon feed them.
Some mentors are great for this and some mentors are great for that, so it's nice to have several mentors. But I've had them through the year. Well, I guess I would say they weren't intentionally mentors. I just listened to what they had to say.
It's my business partner who's also my husband. And he just naturally became my mentor, because when you step aside, and it takes a lot of confidence to step aside when you actually know the answer, but letting somebody have the opportunity to also share their answer, it gave me a runway I didn't even know I had.
When I was coming up through the ranks, all my mentors were men. It was my dad first, for sure. And his attitude was always, doesn't matter, whatever the problem is, we got it. Like, he was always very calm. And so that, I soaked that up. Yeah. And then I had, between my cousin and my uncle and my former boss, we're all men, and I soaked up a lot from them. But now I find the mentors that I'm seeking out are women, and they're often peers. And we just have like peer groups, almost like this, where I can bring issues and ask, because women leaders will approach things a little differently from men leaders, and can sometimes understand a bit better.
It'll be interesting, like 20 years from now, this same question. So I've heard 2 or 3 of you mention that your dad was sort of your first mentor. My dad was as well, he still is. I'm, kind of at the end of my runway with all of the good mentorship I can take from him, and ready to seek out, professional mentorship from a female in this industry. But, as women at this table, we are now going to be the mentors for daughters, nieces, etc. So 20 years from now, it'd be nice to ask the question, have all the women at the table say, oh, my mom was my mentor, paving the way for me in the construction industry. Because, I don't think anybody's first answer was their mother, and maybe that's, an assumption, but a lot of fathers got us to, where we are here, and I hope that 20 years from now it'll be mothers. Or aunts, or friends.
Yeah.